Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. I'd like to call this school board meeting to order and ask Ms. Davis if she would lead us in prayer.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hope you know the routine. Usually we ask people who have led us in the flag salute to tell us a little bit about themselves, their family, their history, their goals, what they do for the district, whatever you want us to know.
Well, I've been most of my life in Battleground. My daughters were fourth generation graduates of Battleground. I've been employed with the district since 2003. I started off in teaching and learning, working for Jill Smith, and worked my way into the business office, and now I'm interim accountant.
And is that a learning curve?
It has been, but I've enjoyed it.
Do you have children in school now?
My oldest daughter is 26 in Alaska, a grandson and a granddaughter on the way, and my youngest daughter is at Western Oregon University.
But they're coming back to go about it.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Backus, will you take roll call for us?
Yes, President and Director of District 1, Meyer Anderson.
Here.
Vice President and Director of District 2, or District 4, Davis Nichols.
Present.
Director of District 2, Pam Root.
Present?
Director of District 3, Jim Pagliaro.
Present.
And Director of District 5, Stephanie McClintock.
Here.
And we have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Backus. For those that are standing, if you want, there are a few chairs right up front. I see 3 and a couple right here. If you want. That. Right up front.
Oh, not up front.
Oh, we have to read that boring. No. So the next item on our agenda would be agenda approval.
I'll make a motion for approve the agenda as presented.
So there's a motion to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. The next item on our agenda is our ASB reports, and I believe we have Battleground here. How are you on this fine, beautiful, warm evening?
I have a bit of a cold, but other than that, I'm okay. How about you?
I'm doing well.
So please let me know if you need to talk louder because my throat isn't really working very well.
It's on. Oh.
No.
There you go. You have to hold it.
It's a test.
Pretty hot. Should I not be straight for this?
Well, that's because you got a cold.
Thank you. So, things with the Battleground ASB are pretty slow right now. We finished prom and we raised quite a bit of money off of that. We made about $16,000 in ticket sales, which was very, very nice. And the venue was only about $6,000. The DJ was only about $1,000. So overall, we made around $8,000 on our prom. Very, very nice. That's more than we've made in the past because usually everybody chooses the very expensive venues, but we found a really nice one. Luckily for our prom, the weather was also really nice. So overall, it was just a great time. Everybody had lots of fun. So we were very proud that that went well. Also, NHS had Teacher Appreciation Week last week. We did it the week after National Teacher Appreciation Week because of AP testing. It's always really hard on the students to do that. But it went really well. The teachers loved what their students got them. And there was a lot of good participation. So that was a good experience for everybody. As of now, we're working on a spring spruce committee and ASB to make our school ready for graduation so that everything looks nice and is presentable to the community and just looks good for seniors. So we're excited for that. We're looking for donations from the community right now, so working on that. And that's about all that's happening with our ASB. As we get to the end of the year, we're working on elections and things are wrapping up. So, do you have any questions?
Is there a set date for the spring spruce up, or is that just kind of an ongoing deal?
I think it's changed a couple times. I don't know what exactly it is as of now, or if they're going to change it again, but that's where we are at now. But it's going to be before graduation for sure.
Cool, thank you for
Enjoy the rest of your day.
you bet. And you get better.
Thank you.
Now, how about Rivers? River Homelake. Good evening.
Hi.
How are you keeping tonight?
Good. I'm good.
Good.
Great. So my name is Jasmine. I am the president of River Homeland.
I'm TJ. I think that's on. Yes, it is. I'm TJ, and it's on. And I'm the ROTT liaison for ASB because I dual enrolled with BG in the ROTT program.
So what's going on at River Homelake?
Well, one of the things that we came here to talk about was Stop the Bus. On May 6th, we partnered with Battleground and we did a Stop the Bus. Our main location was at the Fred Meyers. And all in total with Battleground at Walmart and us at Fred Meyers, we raised about 3,700 pounds and we raised over $600.
That's awesome. That's more than a ton of food.
Yeah. We beat a record by like 1 o'clock. It was pretty impressive.
Oh, that's great.
The other thing was that we figured out a way, hopefully next year, that we'll be able to partner with corporate with Fred Meyers and Walmart. So hopefully we can go and get them to help us out by going and putting dollar items out by the check stands for people to purchase right there to help them.
That's a great idea. It's a good program. What else is going on? Getting ready for graduation?
Yes. We're both graduating this year.
I don't know if that's good or bad, because we won't see you next year.
I know.
That's kind of sad.
The realization's finally hitting me that I'm graduating. So I'm kind of sad.
But it'll be a new chapter. Very exciting for you.
Yeah, I think we're kind of both in that stage where it's like, ASB, and for me, ROTC has kind of been our life for the last 4 years, and for Jasmine, I believe, longer. So, that's basically been our job, and it's kind of like almost getting promoted into life.
Stay in school.
She told me I couldn't stay for longer in ROTC.
Unless you go to college, take it.
Yeah, that's ROTC though, not JROTC. I can't stay with 952, sadly.
Right.
Is there any other questions?
What are your plans?
I'm going to go to Clark College, get my interpreting license in sign language, and then I'm going to transfer to WSUV for endocrinology.
I, on the other hand, I'm going to enlist into the Air Force as cyber systems operations, hopefully get the job I wish for. And then once I get to the rank of Stafford Tech, I'm going to go to college and go back in as an officer.
When you go to Clark, one of the things I just found out this past week, there is something called the Clark College Foundation. They have a lot of scholarships available, even to Running Start students and to beginning students, that are not being claimed. So you want to check into the Clark College Foundation for scholarships. The good part about that is that we had 11 recipients of their scholarships from Battleground. 8 of those were Running Start students. We had more scholarships awarded to battleground students than Vancouver did, even though they're more than twice their size, and we had as many or almost as many as Evergreen did. So our kids are available for those scholarships. I don't know whether you know about them or not, but they're out there.
Oh, thank you.
Mavis is always watching out for the kids.
I'm sorry.
Is there anything else you want to tell us?
No?
No? Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Doing good. So were you guys signing together? Because you don't know sign?
I do. Okay, so at Praire right now, our spring sports are wrapping up. Girls track and field won league. We also took second in bi-districts as well as regionals. And we have 3 members going up to state. So that's really, really good, exciting. Actually, we have a freshman, Mary Dunford, who won first in the 2-mile and mile at regionals, which is good, really good. So boys and girls golf are both competing in state this week, along with girls softball finished 6 out of 16 teams in bi-districts, which was really exciting because that was really competitive. A recent event we had was Mr. Praire. It was a fundraiser raising money for Children's Home Society of Washington. We raised just under $2,000. So it was a pretty good turnout.
Our ASB elections were on Friday, so we have a new wave of executive officers. And I think next time we come here, we will have the new president and vice president come. Our presidential election is going through a runoff right now because there was like a three-way and yeah, it was really close.
So was that electronic voting or?
That's smart.
I know.
That'd be a lot faster. We're old fashioned. Yeah. And our art week is coming up. It is on May 20th to June 2nd, and that is when all of our students, or a lot of the students, submit art, and we just display it for a week. So that's what's happening. Oh, and sorry, our prom is on June 3rd at the World Forestry Center.
Is that artwork throughout the school in the display, or where will we see it?
It will be hosted in the library. So
And what was the date for that again?
May 20th through June 2nd. Do you have any questions?
I heard Mr. Perry was awesome. It was a great big thing.
The guys that did it had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And just to add, the baseball team went the furthest they've gone in 20 years. So they were knocked out just last Saturday. So they went pretty far in their state tournament as well.
We did.
Thank you.
My son
She's coming from. No more questions? Awesome. Thank you, guys. Let's see, is there any other ASBs that I missed? So now we're going to move on to Ms. Nichols.
I'd like to introduce my grandson Ian. He is a junior at Casey and Clark College. He has been on the Clark County Youth Commission for 4 years. There are 2 students at Praire who serve with him. And the intent of having him here is to make more awareness of what the Clark County Youth Commission does. They serve for the counselors of our county. So Ian?
Hey, so the Clark County Youth Commission is a group of 30 youth from all over the county. Currently there's 29 serving members. We specifically look for diversity within our group, and we put on 3 major kind of events. So-called, we have a art show, which is led out of the actual youth house. There are multiple programs that donate art to it. We have what we call YAC, the Youth Achievement Celebration, in which 300 youth from all around the county are honored in one of 13 events. And then we have a whole kind of presentation celebrating them at Skyview, which is coming up here fairly soon. Then we have the actual youth commissioners go out and kind of do a little speech about it, which helps us personally build public speaking skills. Then we also have policy reports in which we are given tasks directly by the counselors. And after about a school year of research, we report back to them on our findings and we give them recommendations. This year is actually our most ambitious year. We're taking on 6 different policy reports. 3 of them are actually on implementation. We are looking at implementing an app that is directed at the youth for the county. We are running a social media campaign, and we are looking at integrating a job shadow event that is based purely for county kind of jobs. Then we normally recruit from every single high school, some middle schools, ages 11 to 19. And yeah, do you have any questions or?
What's the length of time that you serve?
It's 1 school year. And then you're allowed to kind of re-sign up. But then once you get around graduation time, you're normally kind of phased out.
Now are
we
they?
go through a recruitment process.
How are they selected? Is it by?
We go through a recruitment process. So near the end of the school year, it hasn't opened up, or applications have not opened up quite yet, but they will be here soon. So basically a youth gets the application, sends it in, and then they're interviewed by actual youth commissioners. I've done every single interview during my service with the youth commission.
And I believe one of your projects that got implemented by the councils had to do with the parks. As an example of what you do?
I believe so. It was kind of tied into our youth-focused app. We had gotten in contact with the GIS, the Geographical Information System for Clark County, and we kind of interlaid the local parks and everything into the app.
And what has it meant to you personally, Ian?
A lot. The Youth Commission has allowed me to grow better public speaking skills, as well, quite frankly, it also looks good on a resume, but also a lot of leadership skills as we go on retreats in the summer and the fall, or winter, sorry. And those are specifically geared towards 1, research, 2, leadership building, kind of activities or stuff like that. So, for instance, in our winter retreat, we make a presentation, and one person is kind of like appointed the head of that group to design the presentation. And yeah.
And I know these youth that you'll be honoring, it's my understanding that they can be nominated by anyone, and quite often it's teachers who do those nominations. So I'd just like to see more kids apply for it. I know we've had students from CAM have served, I believe students from Praire have, and I think there've been some from Battleground High School.
Oh yeah.
So just trying to get the word out that this is an opportunity for youngsters.
Then some of you may have heard of the Teen Talk program. That was actually one of the things that the Youth Commission itself helped implement and design about, I'm not sure how many years ago, but that was one of our original kind of ideas when we were tasked with, it was before my time, but it was mental health in teens, and yeah. Any other questions?
Sounds like a great program. Thank you for your service to our kids here.
Anything else?
Oh, good. Thank you.
Ian is the third of my grandchildren who have served on the youth commission. And I've watched them grow from being a bit reticent about speaking to being quite capable of standing in front of an audience of 1,000 people and cutting up a little bit on occasion. Pretty impressive program.
The next item on our agenda is our finance reports. Ms. Hayden, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Doing very well.
Good.
So it has this whole variety of stacked papers to talk to you about. Not that many.
That's awesome.
Well, there's about 5.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. So first I'm passing out the update on the fiscal budget for 2017-18 school year. And we are still waiting on the state legislature to determine the plan of attack for next year. However, on our end, we are still moving forward with what we can control. And things that have changed are we've met with all of the schools and regarding their staffing needs and all of the buildings. Almost all of the department budgets have been allocated. We've calculated apportionment based on the current year just to get an idea of what that would look like. We're continuing to estimate our local revenues that aren't tied to state or federal grants, even though we can start to do some of the federal grants as well. Special session is still continuing on, and I don't know, I just have this feeling it's going to go all the way till June. Do you have anything that you've heard more about that?
Yep.
Yeah, can you confirm?
We're going to go on.
So with that, it's looking like the budget, once they make a decision, we're positioning ourselves to be able to react upon that and continue on with the budget. No matter what, the budget will be approved by the end of August, as we need it to be. And looks like we're going to be really working hard in July, and hopefully we can have a budget hearing for the board, or a work session first, I guess, for the board in the end of July, and budget hearings in August. If things get completed sooner, we can move that up, but at this point, that's what I'm kind of looking at. What's that?
I wouldn't count on it.
I'm trying to be optimistic. So, the next item I wanted to talk to you about, do you have any questions on the budget schedule? Okay. The next item is enrollment for May. We're still down from what we budgeted this year. It just didn't come in like we thought it would, but our annual average enrollment for FTE is still higher than it's been in the last few years. So even though we're not meeting budget, the FTE is still growing every year. Especially a lot of our enhanced programs. Special ed is booming. I'm sure Denny can attest to that. We're over budget by about 15 on an annual average base. But if you compare what we budgeted to what our enrollment was in May, we're up about 85. So special ed is booming. Bilingual is growing. And Running Start is up about over 50 FTE than what we budgeted. We have about 450 full-time students in that program, which is about equivalent of what Evergreen and Vancouver have of students as well. So, although we don't see it in basic ed, a lot of the enhanced programs have exceeded what we budgeted this year. Any questions on enrollment? All right. The next item I want to talk to you about is a memo that was sent out from Pat McCarthy, the state auditor. And in this memo, she is discussing that starting with the 2016-17 financial statement reports that will be out in the fall, that we'll all be working on, the opinion on the state auditors is going to change from what they normally of an unqualified opinion to an adverse opinion. And the reason they're calling it an adverse opinion is because we don't follow governmental gap to the T. We, as a district, and all the 295 districts in the state, follow the Washington State Accounting Manual, which is a modified accrual version of governmental gap. You may be wondering, well, how's that going to play out for bond ratings? Since it's going to apply to all 295 school districts, Moody's is considering it to be immaterial. And since they know how the Washington State Institution of School Districts, they can read in between the lines of the adverse opinion. And that was noted when I went to WASBO 2 weeks ago. Moody's actually gave a presentation and was talking about it. And so that really doesn't even really play into a factor into the Moody's ratings. It's more about your tax base, your debt to tax base ratio. It's on the management and the Washington State, which Washington State already has a AA institutional framework rating because of how the system is set up. I mean, if you go to Arizona, I think they're at like an A. So from a state's perspective, we're in a lot better position. But what we as a district can really control is our financial ratings, which plays in the fact of, your fund balance and the increase in fund balance you've made over the last 5 years, things like that. So the adverse opinion really isn't going to affect us as a district or as a state, but I just wanted to make you aware of that change. So when you are seeing the financial reports and the audit reports for next year and they note the adverse opinion, it's not something to have a red flag about. Any questions on that? And I should say, it's just not us, it's all 295 school districts in the state.
What's interesting that they would even do it.
Right.
Right. It's just a, presentation. I don't know if it has to do with the new auditor in and just how she wants to look at things, but
It's a good heads up.
yes. At this point, I'd like to bring up James Capen, our Director of Nutritional Services, to go over some nutrition service items.
Am I talking?
I can talk a minute. You can chime in as
I'm here to answer questions.
So we, as a district, or I guess all districts in the United States, have to update the nutrition and health policy, which is policy number 6700 for us, and it's now going to be called the Nutrition, Health, and Physical Education Policy. So as a district, we have to form a committee and set out regulations and guidelines for the food that is not only sold at the school, but what is provided at the school. So it goes down to rewards, incentives, classroom snacks, you name it. So we've formed a committee, which includes James and Kirsten, who's our registered dietitian, along with a few special ed teachers, some physical education teachers, a few principals. I have Catherine from the business office on the committee from a fundraising perspective, and we're all sitting around the room and discussing what it should look like based on the WASA policy, but also the USDA guidelines. And so it's quite the ordeal. We've had two, I shouldn't say ordeal.
It's a lot of fun.
It is to get everyone's take on it and understand what it should look like. And we've met twice, and we have to have it in place before school starts. So getting that input's been really helpful, and we're trying to set up some guidelines on recommendations for what parents can do, recommendations for rewards and incentives, and then not recommendations, but parameters for items that are sold at the school. I mean, for the most part, you can chime in. Nutrition Services is following the USDA guidelines, so
most of the discussion is around all the other foods.
Like the vending machines or
Yes.
like Jamba Juice at Prairie.
Yes.
And to be very clear about it, right now, the district is following all the policies that are in place. This is the last leg of that Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act that's taking place now. So that is strengthening the guidelines that they've given us, and now it's our job to go in and look at that policy as a committee and make those recommendations to you guys on that policy and procedures going forward. So we're all in compliance now. If it stayed the same, next year we wouldn't be in compliance, so.
Do you mean that we would not be in compliance with the policy?
Yeah, so the part of that policy that Megan was just pointing to is now they're going into the realm of teacher-provided snacks. Fundraisers are a lot more stricter now. The question about whether or not we look at snacks brought from home and provided to the classroom by parents. So all of that now has to be addressed. Before it was only purchased and paid for. So vending machines were a purchased product, so they had to comply already. Now it's if teacher, if Mrs. Johnson brings in a 12-pack of Pepsi and wants to give it out to the class, does that comply? And that's what we have to address now. Even though it's being given out to the students and not purchased, it still needs to meet those guidelines.
So next year, could I bring in a box of Krispy Kreme to the class?
Depends on what you approve on.
Well, there are several.
So our committee is meeting right now to make those kind of decisions, and that's really the hardest part about the new policy is to try to figure out the fine line about addressing those.
There are several events in which parents bring food from the classroom to share, and some of it's kind of a joint effort. That looks kind of tricky to me.
Yeah.
It is, and we do have some parents that are on the committee to providing feedback. But right now, it looks like what's coming, that's being brought by the parent, all we're really going to do is have a recommendation of items. We, at this point, do not have to require that they are Smart Snacks compliant. But as James noted in our meeting today, that the more that this is going out to all districts in the United States, you're probably going to see more items in the grocery store in the coming months or years that are going to say Smart Snack compliant, and there's probably going to be
Yeah, at this point, it's more of a, I think that the way that we're looking at it for those things that are brought from parents into their classrooms and stuff is more of an encouragement and trying to provide them with the resources they need to hopefully make good decisions on what they bring into the classroom.
Well, that good decision is all subjective.
Yes. So, there we go.
So look for some more communication on the topic.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
So who monitors that? It's the administration at the school, right?
Yeah, and actually, so part of the role, this new guideline is that the wellness committee itself has to do evaluation tools and assessments on the program to see how effective it is.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's also the committee's role to find out if the guidelines and stuff that are being put into place are being followed and if they've actually made improvements and looking at it that way.
Food kids.
But no one watches what I eat.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Well, there's still 2 more items. I'll make them quick. We just applied today for the summer food lunch program. And the sites, again, will be Kiwanis and at Maple Grove at the River Homelake site. So there should be some communication coming out in the newspaper and media eventually once those are formally approved by OSPI. And the last item I brought James up was, in the consent agenda, you'll find the breakfast and lunch prices for 2017-2018. And that's all based on a price equity tool. And because we're still below what we should be at, it's saying that we need to go up 10 cents for lunch. And breakfast, we have a little bit more of a leeway on that. And we don't have to follow the price equity tool, but we're looking at about a 5-cent increase. I'll let you talk about more of it.
We tried to, on breakfast prices, we just tried to follow the same methodology that the USDA is using on the price equity tool. It just makes sense to keep your paid pricing in line with your federal free reimbursement rates. So that was a recommendation brought to you guys tonight in the consent agenda.
Now I'm done. Any questions on that one? Any questions?
Thank you.
No, thank you. And then the next item is operations report. Mr. Jones.
Thank you. Not too much to update on. We have some projects finishing up, but mainly getting ready for our very short summer construction. The snow delays and then starting before Labor Day. We'll be busy this summer. Currently, the projects that we're finishing up right now, all of our offices at the Casey Center at A and C, we're about 99% done, just doing some punch list work on those. Turned out very well. At Lauren, where we're relocating the 4 new double portables, the county has all the information they need, and we are waiting approval to pour our foundations, which hopefully will happen in the next week or 2 before school is over. It's quite a bit of coordination to move those 4 out of Yakult to Lauren and then put the 10-plex at Yakult. So that's going to be busy, but we have all our paperwork in. All the questions have been answered. Praire High School, the pathway lighting project. All the electrical's been pulled, our pole bases are there, our poles are on site, so that'll be done probably in a week as well. The 2 new scoreboards we added at Praire High School are up and operational, they look great. And at Yakult, we have our building permit is ready for us, we're just waiting on site plan approval, so the building's been approved. Site plan is next, so we think we have all our ducks in a row for this summer. And again, it's going to be a busy, fast summer. Questions?
Busy, fast summer.
Busy, fast summer. About 2 weeks shorter than normal.
2 weeks. Any questions for Mr. Jones? Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Ken.
And now for our teaching and learning update, Mr. Ross.
Thank you. Just a couple items. I attended the May 11th Distinguished Graduates Reception at Cascadia Tech Academy, formerly known as the Skill Center. And it was the first time that they had honored distinguished graduates. To be a distinguished graduate at Cascadia Technical Academy, you must have achieved industry certification, achieved 21st century skills certification, verbalized clear post-secondary plans, assume leadership role in school personal settings, participate in service learning projects, mentor other students, and display the qualities of a Cascadia Tech learner on a consistent basis, and foster the same in their peers. It was just a really impressive ceremony, and what was more impressive, that out of the 23 Distinguished Graduate Award presentations, 5 were from the Battleground School District. And they were recognized on our webpage, but I would just name them off here. Ian Osgood in Aviation Technology from Praire High School. Grace Witcher in Cosmetology from River Homelake. Jesse Jimenez from Criminal Justice from Praire High School. Amelia Gustafson in Culinary Baking and Pastry Arts from Prairie. Oh, I get to know that girl. And Trevor Walker in Diesel Technology from River Homelake. So it was a really fun and just a great night of celebrating the accomplishments of these students. So just wanted to point them out to you. Next, I wanted to bring up Dr. Jill Smith to talk a little bit about our language proficiency exam and how many students completed that and credits they were awarded.
Good evening. I'd also like to introduce Kelly Moses. She's our ESL coordinator, new this year. And this is her second year in coordinating the program for the World Language Proficiency Testing. So I'm going to have Kelly talk more about it.
All right. This year we went with a company out of Eugene, Oregon, Avant Testing. They did not have a Russian test last year, so we did not go with them, but this year they did. And they also included a lot more languages for us to pick from. So if you look on the first page, that was the flyer that went out to our students, translated as well. And you can see on the top, we had a stamped 4S test that we administered. And it included all the languages there that are listed, along with Spanish, of course, and Russian, which is, those are the biggest languages in the district. We also took advantage of the Avant World Speak test, which includes 5 languages. I think the one that we were really looking for was Vietnamese. We had some students who really wanted that test, and so we were happy to offer that one. We tested on 2 separate occasions, one at Battleground High School on a Saturday, and then one at Praire High School after school, so that students could choose which one worked for them. And it was open to students 9 through 12, grades 9 through 12. So, and it was really a great turnout. We had over 70 students, between 70 and 80, take the test. And if you will look at the back of the first page, we sent out letters to parents of the scores when they came in, and they came in really quickly, about a week is all it took. And then we had the scores sent upstairs, and Cindy Clemps went ahead and compiled all the information, and on page 3, right after that, you can see the scores of the students. They were able to qualify for credits, and at a certain score, the Washington State Seal of Biliteracy, but we are waiting for ELA results for seniors for that. So when we find those out, if they reach proficiency in English and score a 4 or a 5 on that stamp test, then they get a special seal of biliteracy from the state of Washington. And that goes along with their diploma. We issue a certificate, which is on the very back of your handout. But it's a very special honor given to our students who can manage both. And I took a Russian 101 for educators class the last couple of weeks over at River Homelake. My respect for the Russian students to take a test of that caliber in reading, writing, listening, and speaking has definitely gone up. Very, very difficult. 3.5 hours is how long it took to take that test. We had students want to stay and just, really do well. So they, just earning up to 4 credits. And look how many of our students scored in the 4 or 3 credit range for Russian and Spanish. I mean, that's amazing. Very proud of their efforts and of just their tenacity to get through that. That was very, very impressive. So
when they get the seal, it's on their transcript, and it says they have the seal of biliteracy, and it's highly regarded and recognized by colleges.
And I think it speaks for Battleground that we value biliteracy and students who have that gift of another language. And so it's just a really good message, and the parents really, really love it. So we're thinking about adding a fall date next year and a spring date just so we can get more students, because we really have a lot of interest.
Do any of the students take more than one language test?
We just have them take one at a time because it is 3.5 hours.
Right.
But they can take one if they want to take a Spanish 1 year. They can only earn up to 4 credits, but we certainly encourage them if they want to take another one. That is fine,
But maximum.
But the maximum total credits would be, 4 high school credits. But it sure, it's a great thing for their college transcripts, and it's a great affirmation of their literacy in another language in 4 domains. So.
Very cool.
Is there many requests for other languages yet that are not yet?
I have received requests for Ukrainian and Romanian, and Avant, the testing company that I went with, has the most. And so you can bet I am already letting them know that we are looking for other languages. I'm just excited that they added Russian, and so they hear us, they hear a lot of our districts around here, and are just kind of having that conversation. So hopefully in the next couple of years we'll see at least Ukrainian added, and hopefully Romanian.
Cool. You're looking for sweets? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they are they're one of our approved vendors for the state of Washington. We can only go with approved vendors. And they also reach all the way up to Alaska, and that's why you see the Yupik language on the World Speak, which, you know, we didn't have any takers for that this time around, but perhaps in the future, so.
We would invite them down here to come to school.
I think so, get our credits, you betcha.
Kelly, you know the Chinese, it's not a Mandarin Chinese, is it?
There is the traditional Chinese that's offered, it's simplified, so I don't know that it's dialectal like that. I just think it's just one or the other, and both of our students chose simplified, so the traditional must be a little bit more difficult. I don't know, but
It's all written anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's because they all write, there's 500 dialects, they all write the same, but they.
But it's some sort, yeah.
Mandarin simplified and traditional.
Yeah. And it's all done on keyboards, the writing piece. I had Vadim from the tech department really, help out quite a lot to change the languages in the computers. And last year we purchased, I think, 80 Russian keyboards for those that felt they wanted to go that route. It was about 50-50, I would say. Some of them wanted a keyboard that was on the screen. Some of them wanted the actual physical keyboard. So trying to accommodate as many students as we can. I think looking forward, just maybe a Vietnamese keyboard should be added next year because there's a transference of those characters that's difficult when you don't have a keyboard like that. So. Good. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Any other questions for Mr. Ross? No? The next item is our communications report. With such beautiful weather, it's unfortunate that she's under the weather. So, nothing to report on communications. We'll catch that next time. Our committee reports is next then. We have our reg committee.
A couple of things going on here. On your desk, you have the proposal that is being written by Battleground and hopefully Evergreen will share it to increase the SCAP funding for our ALE programs. We could submit that as either board approved or individual. And with your permission, I will submit it as board approved. It doesn't need a motion, it just needs a nod or, yeah, this is okay. The whole idea is that right now any out-of-district student is not counted toward our SCAP funding. And so that's caused many districts to shut off acceptance of boundary exceptions into programs like River Homelake and CAM and Casey, Summit View. Those programs that really serve individual needs. We don't count them for our facilities, and this is strictly with respect to capital funding. So that's a proposal. Read it. I'll try to answer any questions you have. Go from there.
So, I would make a motion to support the admission of this proposal for Ms. Nichols submitted to the WASDA Reg Committee. So, there's a motion on the floor. Is there any questions for Ms. Nichols or any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Any other updates?
The second thing is a letter which, as a WASDA Area 6 representative, along with Jaren Barney from Washougal, we have sent this to all of the schools in the ESD area that we represent, and I'd like to just read you the letter and what it says. This represents the positions of WASDA, WASBO, WASA, OSPI, and some other organizations. So I just want to make you aware that we are requesting school board members to become involved and contact legislators with respect to that. And there are three main areas here to talk about. The first one, and I'll read you the letter and then talk a little as I go. What isn't happening in the legislature, we feel we need help to communicate to the legislators on some very critical and immediate concerns. It appears that another special session will be called right after Memorial Day, and that it will be too late for graduations. So one of the questions that's up, and there are at least 2 and maybe 4 bills up there right now with respect to testing and graduation. So there are 2 proposals, particularly that are stuck in the Senate Education Committee. Neither have been approved. It looks like both will die in the Senate, then be resurrected in the next special session. One would delink biology assessment only through, I believe it's 2021 graduating class. The other main one would delink biology, math, and language assessments from graduation. Because graduations are fast approaching, right now as it stands, if a student has not passed these tests, they do not graduate, and I believe according to our policy, will not participate in ceremonies. It's pretty harsh, leaves us, what do we do for kids? Since they haven't acted on this yet, what's our response? What do we tell their families that might be coming from a long way away? We need to let our legislators know just what impact that will be on kids. And I believe the number of kids who, across the state, who will not graduate, Mark, help me out here, is 5,000?
I think it's 2,000 for the biology test, and I think it's 5,000 that for all the tests combined.
And these are kids who have gone their 13 years to school, completed all the rest of their requirements, have met every district requirement, every state accreditation, and because of these tests will not graduate. So, another item, number 2, salary allocation. As budget negotiations proceed, there appears to be a trend to doing away with the state salary allocation model and leaving it up to individual districts. The question is, what would that mean for our district, for each of the districts? Kim Garchow said a sample scenario of one district front-loading beginning teachers and less experienced teacher pay as higher, while another district whose teachers are more experienced would put more emphasis on experience. He suggested that a teacher might start in the first district for the first few years, then move on to the second when they get more money. It caused a lot of confusion and contradictions. The third item is in bargaining. I have no constraints are put on tri-days and the salary allocation model disappears or not. What would it mean to our district? In Battleground, we know it would be a big trouble. And these are the most pressing issues we need to discuss with our legislators right now. That's all I've got.
Mr. Root, you had a question?
I did not, but that's, the assessments is really a problem. This forces us to teach to a test, and that's just not.
My understanding, listening to Superintendent Reichdahl at our last superintendent's meeting, was that because the House is in favor of delinking all assessments and has actually passed that and has sent it to the Senate, but the Senate is only in favor of biology and will not consider the House proposal, that they're in loggerheads, and that because it is such a late and graduation is coming, that no decision will be made until next year. And so they'll likely put that off until next year, so our current policy will have to stand as far as passing those assessments.
Unless we can put enough pressure on them to make them do it right now.
I don't think that's going to happen, but there's always hope.
No, I don't.
If they pass that, would they retroactively?
totally up to them. The talk is right now, as I read the bills originally, and I haven't read them for a while, is that it would include this class. That if they delink it, it would delink for 2017 on.
It's happened before for biology, and if they retroactively did it, where those students, we didn't have that many in our district. I think there was 3 or 4 from each of the schools, but they graduated after graduation.
So then they don't get to participate.
They didn't participate. Actually, that year, that was 2 years ago, I think we allowed them to participate, knowing that they were at least voting on it, but it wouldn't happen until after graduation.
So do we know how many children it affects this current year for our?
We do. We have an estimate, but some of them are still finishing their collection of evidence, which is an alternative to not passing the assessment. So there are some who have not passed the assessment but still may be able to walk because we're waiting for the collection of evidence results to come in post-graduation.
So if we encourage them all to start their collection of evidence?
Well, they would have already had to have started. But encourage them to finish it. That would be great.
Yeah.
But if they're in the process, then it sounds like they may be able to walk.
Yes.
Any other questions for the Ledge Committee? Our next committee is our Audit Committee. Nothing to report?
Nothing to report. Next meeting is June 2nd.
And
Fit committee is not met, and as far as I know, Julie, there's nothing scheduled. Can we use that facilities improvement plan? I mean, still as it is, I know Rita's not here, I was gonna ask her, because I was handing it out this weekend. so-
Yes.
Okay, good.
it's board approved. The next one is the Human Resource Representative, and there's nothing to report on that. Then we have the Battleground Education Foundation.
So the Battleground Education Foundation, we met last week. There was the LCC has presented us with a plan, and so we're reviewing the plan to see if that's something we want to adopt. We have been giving out checks to schools, and we will continue to give out checks to schools this week. There's $15,000 that's being divided out between the schools, and it's by FTE. We determine how much a check will be by the FTE at that school. So that's what I have.
Can you talk about the Colleen's Award?
Oh, Colleen's Award, yeah. She was given an award at ESD for her community involvement, and it's quite the award. It was she has done an amazing job with BGEF, and a lot of people are not paying attention to it, and they will in the future, because what she's doing with that organization and the monies that are being raised is helping all teachers in our district. So it's a good thing, a very, very good thing. Did I miss anything on that?
Then the next is our tour committee. Is there any?
We had a tour. We had a facilities tour with the very famous Kevin Joma, and
Did you get a signature?
very famous. Autographs. After, I'm sure, yeah. There are some real needs in our district, and we looked through it, we kind of reviewed, talked about his budget and so forth, and if there is money that we could help Kevin out with his budget, and the figure was about $200,000, it would be monumental for what he's trying to do in this district. And some of the things we do need to talk about too, that we're going to have to budget, is roofs for our campus here. We invested a huge amount of money putting in the paid to have that roof leak and destroy all the money we put in that place. And then of course we have this is the only roof on this whole campus that's actually in good shape. So we have other activities going throughout this campus that needs to be protected. And we're doing a lot, you know, this property was surplus so long ago that we just haven't been paying attention to it, so it's pretty dilapidated, so. Did I miss one, Kevin? I know the roofs. I know, was there another thing that we talked about? Oh, in our meeting, Danny was in our meeting and Mark Holloway was in our meeting. Did I miss anything, Mark?
I think Louisville was sort of commanded much of the conversation.
Yeah.
That there are some areas that are not seen by most of us that need to be attended to soon.
You know, without putting work into it, it's only going to cost more in the future. So it's something we need to probably put a work study together and talk about it.
Any other tour committees?
Jim and I toured this facility and the warehouse and found it very enlightening. I will have to congratulate the food service on some excellent use of space and some excellent saving of money for our district and the way that's being run. That was very impressive. Also, by the catering that's going on through Sodexo and the fact that when they cater an event, we make money. And that was, their service is excellent, the food is excellent. And I think they'll build a pretty good business there. So that was some needs that they had, including things like ovens and a few tables and things at some of the buildings. So that has to go through, I know there's money put in each year for replacement. I think it's $75,000. I think that's right. And so I was really impressed with food service at that time. And we toured the print shop, toured the boys' locker room, with the daylight.
You did?
Yeah, with the daylight ceiling.
There was no. Oh, yeah, next door. Yeah.
They had a skyline.
Yeah.
A real sky.
Sunroof, yeah.
Swimming pool, too.
The print shop, very impressive. Jim and I both think we need to get one of their big calendars up here on our wall for next year. It's very nice, very attractive and very helpful, I would think, for all of us. So, and then, you want to talk about the warehouse?
And the warehouse has put up some new shelving in that and reorganizing over there. The place where they used to tear down the computers or have a computer repair, that's all gone away and they're cleaning that out. Some vehicles over there that are sitting over there are on the list. It's a government list now that they're putting these on to go out to the bidders. And that's why we don't see them on our list, because they're on that government list. The print shop is busy as usual.
Incomplete.
Shop.
Okay. Not yet.
The science, where the science items are stored, she could really use some room over there. I mean, I don't know how she gets around it. Anyhow, she kind of had related that to us, that maybe that could be looked into.
Part of that was that our painters use part of those buildings, our maintenance and facilities use some of it. So it's a matter of how do we share that space most efficiently and most productively for the kids in the district. So that's part of the question. Interesting question. Tough ones.
So, our group toured Casey in the new IT offices. It was a very, to say the least, humbling and appreciated tour. I think we had the chance to greet almost every employee from there and thank them for the services that they provide for us as administration and the board on our behalf. Then after that tour, we went and we toured River Homelake. It was a speedy tour through River Homelake. And there's some great things that are happening there. I don't know if you have anything to add, Mr. Ross.
Well, just a couple things. It was nice to see the technology department be combined into one area for their efficiency purposes. That's a great use of space for them over there, and like you said, got some of them out of the deep and darkest depths of the warehouse.
Yeah.
So it was good to see that. And at River Homelake, it really is a unique setting there. You walk into River Homelake and you see parents, students could be first graders, second graders, high school students walking around, sitting at desks, tables together. You walk on one side of the hallway and you see a demonstration of kindergarten art. On the other side of the hallway, you're seeing middle school science. It really is a neat collaboration of experiences, and it just all works. I don't know, nobody else but Mark Clemens can understand the schedule, so I hope he never retires. But it really was enlightening to see all of that work together. Parents, younger kids, older kids, in a setting that totally focused on education, but fun and collaboration between all different groups.
Yeah, I don't know if there was more students or more parents. It was pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a lot of both in there. And then, like Mark said, it was good. It was good to see. So that's the last of the tour, and then we have our newest committee, which is our Clark County School Advisory Council.
And we don't meet till June 2nd. And temporarily, I thought I wasn't going to be able to make that, but I might be able to make that now.
Let me know.
Can I join you?
You can join me because you are the board rep that sits on their board. I'm the alternate, and apparently I sit in the audience if I come. So
oh, really?
You can come sit on the board, and I can sit on the audience. You're more than welcome.
Okay.
So the next item on our agenda is our upcoming board events. We have a lot of barbecues. There's been a few that have happened. I went and filled out the document today to show which ones I'm going to be trying to attend to. And if you can all do the same thing, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Strongly suggest doing it only because it reminds you what you're here to do while you're here.
Seeing all the kids.
Yeah, seeing the kids, seeing the administrators, seeing the staff, just in general. It's a good thing.
You weren't there on Friday. Everyone said that you were going to be there Friday.
No,
You went to them?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't think you were.
Originally signed up, but then we changed it. Doesn't matter.
Check and make sure there's at least one board member at every one of these, because they are important. They are
Tomorrow.
fun.
I was at Pleasant Valley on Friday and there were so many people. It was so hot. But I was tossing watermelon. James was there. He had to go get me a Starbucks.
Started a food fight?
Because they want to grab at it.
Is that the first time you've done?
No.
I didn't think so. Yeah, that one's
But
always.
that one was a little, that was a little, that
The primary schools are insane. Yep.
That was just a lot of fun. Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, the next item on our agenda is our citizens' comments. And under citizens' comments, we, as a board, we'd like to hear from the citizens that attend our meeting, especially on a day like today when it's been beautiful out and warm. There is a sign-up sheet over on the table to my left and your right. We've had a couple people that have signed up. There's a 3-minute time limit that we'd like to put in place. And the first one we have is Miss Linda Peterson.
Good evening. First, I want to thank Mavis for your work on the WASDA, all the things that you talked about. I wrote it down, but I'm not going to repeat it, but thank you for that continued work with our legislators. It's a job. I wanted to speak this evening because it's getting to be near the end of the school year. And I wanted to thank the board. When you go to visit the buildings, the schools, and then you do the report when you come back, you always speak so highly of what the students are doing, how they're engaged in their classwork. You often speak about how the rooms are set up, the joy on the kids' face, and the educators appreciate that because we know that if that's happening in the classrooms, there's a lot of work being done by those educators in that room to make that happen. And we have a lot of happy kids here. I also wanted to thank the board members that may be leaving us and the board members that are staying. So thank you for your work as a school board member. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Peterson. The next one that we have signed up is Marina Hines. Did I get that right? Yeah. Oh, there.
You just haven't read that name yet, have you?
No, but I did congratulate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's been what, about 8 months?
A year.
A year? Already?
14, I guess.
Oh, my goodness.
I know, I've gone by really fast. Thank you, Stephanie and Mark and Jim, also for being at our barbecue in Pleasant Valley Primary's 40th anniversary. It was a huge event. It was really nice to see you there. I'm actually here to speak about 6 students in our community who have been recipients of the 2 scholarships that Battleground Education Association gives to students who are they have their community service, leadership, they have extracurricular activities, and their academics are just awesome. So the scholarships were open in the middle of March through April. Several emails went out and they were posted for the students in the college center, and then the staff members could also give them to their kids to fill out. So we have the BGA member scholarship now is $1,000, and the Axel Forsman scholarship for $500. And we had 10 applicants for each, but the applicants that we read about, we have amazing students in our community, and I wish all of them could have been recipients of the scholarships because they are doing amazing things. I'm unable to give their names because we haven't let them know yet if they've won. But really, really proud and excited of who we chose and just the diversity of the qualifications they had for these scholarships was tremendous.
How about the not so good ones? Oh,
Okay, so they were all good. I wish, hopefully next year we'll have more than 10 for each, so thank you. Or do you have any questions or at all about it? Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Thank you.
If I could add what Marina said about the Pleasant Valley 40th year anniversary, I forgot to mention that in my communications. I know Stephanie and Jim were there, but it was just really an amazing event, and I know the teachers stayed and opened their classrooms to the parents, and I don't know if we got to figure how many people are there, but there were hundreds of people there, and unicycles were great. I don't know how the kid stays on the one that's 3 stories tall, but it was just a really nice celebration to celebrate past staff that came through. They had the first secretary that was there, and of course Dwayne Rose, the first principal of the middle school, was there. So it was just really a neat celebration for all of you that were there. It was very, very much appreciated for all the committee that put it on. It was a great event. No spaces in the parking lot. I mean, they were parking out on the street there, which they never do at Pleasant Valley, right? But they were parking there, and so it was very, very well attended.
Right in front of the towaway zone.
Yeah.
So that's all that we have signed up. Before we move on, is there anybody else that would like to address the board at this time? Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. And on the consent agenda, we have the approval of the special, the minutes for the special meeting on May 8th, the approval of the regular minutes of May 8th, the contract ratifications, the personnel reports, the student travel, the lunch and breakfast price increase for 2017 and 2018 school year.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
So there's a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. The next item is our unfinished business. And on our unfinished business, we have the second reading of the Meyer's psychology for AP. Yes, sir.
Just asking for approval for the textbook, psychology one for AP.
Looks pretty complete to me. I think I should go back and take the course. I'll move for approval. The second reading and adoption, Meyer Psychology for AP by Myers, David G., Bradford, Freeman, and Worth as the textbook AP Psychology.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any further comments or questions?
Bill, do you know how many sections we have tested for? Put you on the spot.
No, it's okay, we don't know. There's one teacher at each high school right now, and I don't have that information.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Gosh, they should all have little wagons to pull around these textbooks. They're heavy.
Yeah, I have them all in my car.
So while Dr. Smith is there, we'll move on to the next item, which is the
right.
second reading of the cultural landscape, an introduction to human geography.
Right. So we're asking permission to adopt the cultural landscape and introduction to human geography for the AP program.
How are these two books used in conjunction with each other? Why are there two?
I believe one of them is a supplemental that goes with the main adoption.
So will each student get one of each, or?
That I do not know. Sorry.
Ian, my grandson who was just here, is taking a human geography class at Clark College, and I asked him to look through these books, compare them to what he's taking. They have a different approach, but he said he's taking I believe it's a 100 course, but he said this is probably about one step below what he's taking, but we thought it was quite appropriate for college courses. I thought that was interesting from his perspective.
AP Human Geography typically is kind of an introductory AP course, usually in the freshman, sophomore, kind of their first diving into AP. So it's a good one to have in a district as one to get kids, not that it's easier, but it's just, it's one that's a little bit
more comprehensive,
more understandable for the younger high school students.
But they can still get college credit if they...
Yeah, if they take the AP test and score above a 3.
Can we make a motion? I'll make a motion that we approve the adoption of the cultural landscape and introduction to human geography, accompanied by human geography in action.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. And I do believe it is, the kids get both of those things.
Bigger one.
The next item on the agenda is our second reading of modeling with mathematics, a bridge to Algebra 2.
Thank you. As Monty said, I'm here to present for a second reading, Modeling with Mathematics, a bridge to Algebra 2 for use in our Modeling with Mathematics course at our high schools.
Well, I'll say again, I certainly like this book as a kind of a transition book, just for those who went through the courses, but and passed them even, but still didn't really grasp everything they were doing. I think this is a great book, and I happily move to approve the second reading adoption of Modeling with Mathematics, Bridge to Algebra 2, second edition.
Can I make an amendment to your motion? And add that published by Freeman, published in 2012.
Yeah, and I'll accept your amendment.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
So Colleen's a little bit worried about all these books coming into her area, because that's where they're stored as a staging area before they go out to, just FYI.
You mean the old ones or the new
The
ones?
BGF room that she uses, that's where it all ends up. She's not overly concerned.
If she stacks them right, she'll have a new desk.
Just needs a new map. Just create a map.
Yeah, and we'll work with the warehouse and with our Destiny Inventory person to make sure all that happens in a pretty safe
Track her in.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So moving on to the next part of our agenda, which is new business. We have the revision of policy number 6022, which is our fund balance. And I'll ask Ms. Hayden to present.
It's me again, right? I am recommending a revision to policy 6022 for fund balance. It's been about 6-7 years since the original fund balance policy was approved. And when I was presenting a few months back on the financial health indicators, it became apparent that we really need to look at the terminology of that policy and defining the actual fund balances that a district utilizes in the state of Washington, since we adhere to, as I noted, the Washington State School District Accounting Manual, as well as GASB, which is Governmental Accounting Standards Board. There are 5 fund balances that a school district utilizes, and our former policy just basically put that into 2 buckets. So this new policy does a better job of aligning us to what we're actually adhering to. The first 2 fund balances are really restricted. They are inventory and prepaids. Those are usually non-spendable. There is no dollar value associated with that. The other one is restricted, which is just for state grant carryovers for the most part, or laws. Certain laws that you have to hold for uninsured risk, things like that. So that's really untouchable. The other 3 are what is considered unrestricted, and when Moody's is looking at your bond rating, that's what they're considering as, your fund balance. And that is committed, which takes board action to commit funds for a specific purpose, and board action to uncommit those funds for a specific purpose. Assigned, which can be assigned by senior administration for specific purposes as well, which we utilize that for building budget carryovers, donation carryovers, any other specific purposes we may have. We did some for some maintenance equipment that we knew we weren't going to be able to purchase till this year. Fines and fee carryovers, music instrument carryovers, things like that. And we usually get, or we do get, the superintendent's approval before we assign those funds. The last bucket is unassigned, which is where everything else that is not restricted, non-spendable, committed, or assigned falls into place. In the past, we've noted that we want our unassigned balance to be 3%, or our unrestricted to be 3%, and as economic conditions change and just the viability of our district, we also looked into should that be raised, and it's also recommending the policy that we go to a 6% fund balance. I'll have you note that the Governmental Financial Association organization recommends that a governmental agency have over 2 months worth of cash on hand in their fund balance. Well, for us, that'd be about $20 million. So, because we spend about 10 to 11 million, I'd say, a month, so we're at 7.
So to clarify, 6% put us at 7.
6% of our current year expenditures. So right now, I think our budget's at 140 million. I can't do the math on the top of my head sitting here. I know, right? 8.4 million for unassigned. So that would not be committed, assigned, no prepaids or grant carryovers, things like that.
So 8.4 million would be the 6%, and you said the government agency, the gap that we're gonna be in non-compliance of.
They recommend 2 months worth of expenditures.
Which is about 20.
Which would be, well, on a $140 million budget would be almost be 28 million. Or no, I'm doing that 10%, but about 20 million.
Thank you. Keep going.
Okay.
Interrupt you too much.
No, you're fine. Interrupt all you want. It's also in that, when I went to WASPO a couple weeks ago in Spokane, there was a Moody's presentation, and it was talking about what goes into a bond rating, and I found it really interesting that the part that a district has the most control over is the fund balance. And once you get above 10% for a total unrestricted, which is again those 3 buckets of committed, assigned, and unassigned, you're more likely to get a higher bond rating. I'm not going to guarantee it, but it's more likely you'll get to that point. And some of the larger districts in our area are above 10%, and they do have a higher bond rating than we do. And with looking to pass another bond and go out for another bond, we want to make sure that we're taking all that into consideration for our taxpayers and getting them the best rate. The procedure then also notes the trying to get up to that 6% and putting a minimum amount a year to allocate towards fund balance for unassigned.
And that was a minimum percentage, not strict number.
That's correct. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I'm still learning.
It can all, if anyone is interested, it's right there in the accounting manual. On the OSPI website, you can go to a link to the accounting manual and see all of those funds laid out. But if you have any, I don't know if you have any other questions on the 5 funds or how that goes.
make a motion that we approve adopt the revision of policy 6022 fund balance.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there any questions? Just so I can understand,
Yes.
the 5 different funds. We're changing our current policy to designate so that it's more clear about how the fund balance and the buckets of the fund balance and what they're for. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the non-spendable and the restricted are monies that are already set aside, such as inventories and grant funds.
Inventories, grant funds, prepaid, yes. Grant carryovers, I should say.
The committed fund balance would be board resolution for specific items and projects.
That's correct. It has to be for a specific purpose, and it would take formal board action, which is a board resolution to commit, and then uncommit those funds would then take another board resolution.
If they were not to be used on that set project.
On that set project, yes, or purpose.
And then the assigned is building budgets and other carryovers that are assigned. And that would take superintendent and or board approval to change the budgetary items for that.
It just takes senior administration superintendent approval to assign those funds. That's really the main difference between committed and assigned. And yes, and assigned is for what we utilize it for is for building budget carryovers, donation carryovers, and things you've noted, or any other specific purposes for program stability, whatever.
And then the unassigned is what our current policy sort of spoke to.
Unassigned is what our current policy notes as unrestricted. And right now, our unassigned balance for our minimum fund balance is $4 million, and that's disclosed in our financial statements and notes for the 2015-2016 year. That $4 million is designated as unassigned in that minimum fund for that minimum fund balance policy. Yes.
Perfect. I just wanted to reiterate to make sure I understood. So Mr. Peguero has made a motion. Is there any other questions?
Just a comment. Thank you. You put a lot of work into this and you're teaching us quite well. I appreciate knowing more now than I did a month ago, but not knowing enough yet to fill your shoes at all.
Any further questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. So the next item on our agenda is our citizens' comments. And then we're going to, after citizens' comments, we're going to move into an executive session for property purchase. But is there anybody that is wishing to address the board at this time for our last citizens' comments? Seeing none, I think Ms. Backus wanted us to sing happy birthday to Mr. Peguero, Ms. McClintock, and Ms. Nichols. All 3 birthdays.
Wow.
And she has a little cake for them. So and we know that Mr. Holloway is one of our fine musicians. And we hear that he does like to at least play and sometimes sing along.
Keep going.
We'd like maybe him to help us sing to all 3 of them at the same time.
Ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jim. Happy birthday to you.
Speech.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
Was that your
Thank you,
speech?
thank you for
May
saying.
2nd.
Yes, very good. Yes. 39, in case anyone was wondering. Again.
So we're going to sign papers and then move into executive session for property purchase according to RCW 42.30.110, lower parentheses, possible action. Exec session will be how long? 15 minutes, and we'll start it at approximately quarter to. Thank you all for coming.
Okay.